All right, Calvin West. Um, First, let me thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to sit down and talk with you. You are a part of Newark's history. You certainly are a very strong part of the fabric that has created the type of leadership in terms of the heritage that we have in our culture as a black man, but in particular as someone who has the kind of character that many leaders have been able to be mentored from and has been successful in putting together their careers as far as representing this community. I'd like to thank you very much for this opportunity.
I appreciate it very much.
You have had a history of involving yourself in helping people. As far as your career is concerned, do you think your achievements have been satisfied?
Basically, yes. I think the most important thing in life is to give of yourself. And from an early age, I recognized giving was more important than anything else, a family concept. And from that, it's been my pleasure and honor to just give and to see those that are in need to have a smile on their face and feel that they're not forgotten.
You brighten a lot of futures. How did your career start?
A family concept came from a, a warm and sharing uh, family, mother, father, making certain that in life nobody gives you anything. You have to work for it. Respect and love were the hallmarks in the three dwelling home that I grew up in at 91 Stratford Place. My dad had a business which we call a wood shop. He sold wood, coal, ice, kerosene. At that time, certainly there weren't electric stoves, and we delivered wood to the various residents 3 times a week, ice and coal. I can remember my father saying to me, if they don't have the money, when they get it, they'll pay me. It's okay. The most important thing is to make certain that they have a quality of life that will be the springboard for tomorrow's children. And that's exactly what he imparted to me, and that's what I've carried on forever. You know, in the business of living, certainly you set out with dreams, and sometimes they go astray. Little did I know at the time growing up that I would be in the political arena, but I imagined there's an angel on your shoulder, and their direction was this is where he wants you to go. And because of that, I'm so grateful that I've been given that opportunity, and I continue to do that to extend my hands to those that are unfortunate.
Your career first started in the city council.
Well, no, not really. Prior to becoming elected, I was involved in political activity in the community. I lived in the Central Ward. At that time, it was called the Third Ward. Um, I learned quite a bit from my sister. I have three sisters, and the baby sister, Larry West Storks, was certainly involved in political process. From her directions, I became involved, not knowing that one day that I would be elected in the city of Newark, history making in terms of the first ever of my color to win an at-large seat. But from that, ringing doorbells, disseminating literature, it gave you a purpose, something that you wanted to do, to see that somebody else, if you talk to them, that they were willing to join with you in a common cause to make betterment for certainly our race, but in terms of all of our community. And that I enjoyed very much. Uh, from high school, college, it's all about togetherness. You know, not using I, but always we. And when you're able to bring people together, then you have strength. And I found that out very early on. And because of that, I worked towards betterment as far as the city of Newark, county of Essex, and the state of New Jersey.
The relationship that you had with some of the other pioneers, such as Irving Turner.
Well, in 1954, in the city of Newark, they had the change of government from commission to mayor council. At that time, Irving Turner, who had been a pioneer by himself in a matter of speaking, challenging those that felt that as far as Afro Americans were concerned, there wasn't truly a place as far as government or as far as the future of our everyday living, mainstream as it would be. In 1954, they changed the form of government. Irving Turner had the opportunity to run as a councilman in the Central Ward. He won. I can recall disseminating literature in his behalf and not knowing that one day I would be his colleague on the council. But he gave me inspiration. He gave me desire, more so, in conjunction with what I was reared as far as my family was concerned, was giving of yourself. And certainly at that time, Irving lived on a high street in the city of Newark, which is now King Boulevard. And at all times, he was out in the community, extending himself for the betterment. And because of that, I realized that the most important thing that one can do is to bring people together. And at the time, as far as the mainstream of life, as far as Newark was concerned with the Afro-American community, it was not there, and he needed help. So after a period of time, and I had watched elections come and go, I made a determination with a group of young people, let us go forward and see what we could do. So that was a spark that not rekindled, but a spark that engulfed a flame of drive for we as a people.
You've concerned a lot of your practice of politics involved in, I would say, the classic political parties. But during that time, there were liberations, communist parties, different types of ways in which our culture was looking for ways to satisfy the disenfranchisement of segregation. How were you able to accomplish the task of bringing people together?
Seemingly, it was rather easy. I lived in a community where it was diverse, mainly Jewish population and blacks. Had no trouble whatsoever interacting with one another, recognizing that we had no control coming into this world in terms of pigmentation. So therefore, if you broke the skin of someone who was white and one that was black, it would be certainly red blood. And teaching from infancy should not be hatred, but certainly that was a norm early on, and even today. A child doesn't know black from white, red from green, unless they're taught. So you would find as life faces you that this takes place, and you've got to recognize it with common sense. But my determination in terms of public school, going on to higher education, meant that you came together with a diverse group of people. And, the failure to communicate is a horrible thing. But in terms of exchanging, whether you lack or dislike, if we can talk about it, there is a safeguard that tomorrow is going to be a little better. So, recognizing what my community was all about and reading the papers and listening to the radio, because when I was growing up, of course, you didn't have a television, but you had a radio, which was so important as far as the family structure was concerned. So, from that, it was building blocks, building blocks that would eventually bring you to a building where both white, black, yellow, green, orange could walk in and out and be together. So I had the fortune of growing up wherein we could exchange. Now, nothing's 100%, and there's certainly always that chaotic world out there with those who swallow a bitter pill in terms of racism. But I would say to you that 2007, this is December the 5th, that there has been some progress. Not enough. We still need to be together, exchange more. But at the same time, as I see, a future ahead for not only my race of people, but all races of people coming together.
Recognizing enough of the differences that has been going on in relationship to the different administrations, in terms of your relationships with former Mayor Kenneth Gibson, former Mayor Sharps James, and now we have Cory Booker, the kinds of attitudes that have transpired in relationship to building a unification of people in the communities, which one would you say has put the most effort into making that a change?
Well, once you are selected and elected in terms of the seat of responsibility, so many things change. The rules and regulations of government are airtight, and therefore you as the leader must make certain that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. As far as the three that you just spoke on, the three of them had the responsibility of leading the citizens of the city of Newark. And to say, well, this one did more than the other. They have a capital improvement program in terms of 5 years out. You plan to make the community better, the city better. And each mayor has that responsibility to say, this should be done or that should not be done. And one learns by mistakes. Out of bad comes good. So whatever mistakes that were made, those that can look at them and say, I'm planning, this is going to be better tomorrow. That's what's going to happen. So when you hear, history will only dictate, what one was able to do. And I would be remiss if I would say this one did. There were several mayors